This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll hit college basketball here. Love our next guest. Richie Baccellieri joins the desk. Longtime Vegas odds maker. Sports gambling Hall of Famer as well. He's here at Circus Sports. Good to see you again, pal. How are you?
Guys, what's going on? It's great to be on with you guys. I miss you in the morning, though. You know, I used to listen in the morning on the computer. You guys went back on Sirius Radio now?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm back on because, you know, that iHeart stuff, I don't know nothing about that.
All right. You wake up at 2 a.m.
2:30.
2:30.
2:30. This morning was 4:30, so I got a little more fire in me than last time I was on.
So our show, you for a long time, used to be right in your wheelhouse then.
Used to listen to you and used to listen to the Rain song. Both of those. Zeppelin. Rain song's like huge over anything Metallica ever did. But that's another.
You had to sneak that in there, didn't you?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, Hall of Famers.
Hey, before we get into tonight's
Hall of Shamer.
we were talking about like history here with you going back. You've been in this racket for a long, long time.
Yeah.
You were at Caesars in the mid-90s. What? And you guys could not book the NBA or the NHL?
Yeah, the ownership group of the casino, IT&T, whatever, they own the Garden. So we couldn't book any Knicks, any Rangers, no either sport.
What'd you guys do?
Well, it was rough. I mean, everybody wants to put the parlays in with the football and the hoops, but during the summer we did go to a nickel baseball line, and man, that generated a ton of business. I mean, it was busy all day long, and this was before mobile, so everybody had to come in.
Uh-huh.
So man, they all came in all day, just firing away. I mean, scalping, amazing.
Yeah, and you're also at the Palms when the Maloofs owned it, so you could not bet Kings games. So think about that. They're playing in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, who they're like, before we had pro teams, the Lakers were the nuts here in Las Vegas. Everybody loved them. You couldn't take any action there.
Yeah, I know. That was brutal. That's a Horry three-pointer, right? Yeah, I got a bad memory on that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, couldn't take the Kings, but it was better than not taking the whole NBA. But
True. Yes. So
good stuff.
You at Iowa State last night? Condolences.
Of course, Iowa State. You know, in game, I bought 3 early, and then I was watching a little bit of the game. But you know, the in game, you can't really pay attention to what you're seeing on TV because all the lines are, they're a minute ahead of what you're watching. But I said, Iowa State probably can hang around. So I started playing some in game when they went down. They were down 4 or 5, and they're giving you 5-2. So I was playing it, decent over and over and finding spots and praying because, when you make a bet on the dog like that, you're just hoping they make a basket to cut it. Maybe you could, scalp it back. So I go to bed, 3-4 minutes to go, and I got a decent position. And I wake up at 2 in the morning, see they lose by 9 in overtime. But when I looked this morning, it's the first thing I seen. The kid hits a 90-footer or a 60-footer after he misses a free throw, because now I go to the play-by-play. I want to see the play-by-play on ESPN just to really give it to myself. Torture. Maximum torture. That's what we deserve. Degenerates like you deserve it too. Yeah. But yeah, lose another bet. Would have been a good day. But
damn, condolences. What fee do they have? Because in basketball, it's the biggest.
Oh, they'll be ahead by
3-4 possessions. You're behind. You're watching the game, and then you're looking at the in-play number. It's like, my God, I'm 3-4 possessions behind.
Yeah, it's unfair. That's why Circa books it during the commercials when everything's on the square. And, you can't knock that. That's a good thing. Everybody's playing. The game stopped. Here's the line. Go ahead and bet it. No delays. No one's getting screwed. But they catch a little bit of a rap because people want to bet continuous, and they don't care they're getting screwed.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
Okay, where do you have Iowa State then in your top 10, and what does your top 10 power rated teams look like anyway?
Well, I didn't actually do a top 10 out of my ratings, but I put together some teams. But this is the same crap you see on the top 25. I mean, Auburn's probably clearly the best team in the country. I don't think that's disputed.
Clear ahead of Duke?
I got them about 1.5 better than Duke. Duke and Houston. I got Iowa State starting to climb up there. I mean, I made Arizona 1 last night. Taking 3 was really, buying 3 was no bargain. I don't think I really, got anything. But they're up there. Florida, Tennessee, Kansas. Purdue's playing real good.
Yeah, sure.
Alabama, of course. That's the top 10. But I know you wanted the bottom 10. You wanted the trash.
Okay.
You bring me on here for the trash. That's what you guys.
Do you have the trash?
Oh,
ready
I got
to
the trash.
Throw it
I
out
love
then.
betting the trash.
What do you got?
You look at a team like Houston Baptist. I guess they changed their name to Houston
Christian,
whatever.
I think.
Yeah, whatever. They changed their names. I didn't change their name. They changed.
They've been good at covering numbers this year.
Covering numbers, but they're
Mm-hmm.
trash. But they're covering. I had them last night, getting points. They went outright. But when it comes to trash, there ain't nobody better than Mississippi Valley State. I mean, they're the bottom of the barrel. I got them rated on my ratings at about an 18. Now, they got the money last night at home. Once again, the line was about 21, 20, 22, 22 and a half. Come 21. Didn't read about it yet, but I've been playing them because the more trashy you are, the better I like you. That's why I like you, Paul, because you are trash to the max. So I love you.
Love you too.
You look at Chicago State, but they got kids out. I've been riding Pine Bluff. I've been picking spots with Pine Bluff because they just got a kid in. I love saying his name, Dr. Bradley. His name is Dr. Bradley. He's played 5 games. Come from the Big West a few years ago. Can't remember what school. Played a little New Mexico State. May have had a little sexual assault problem in the last year or two, but they all do. And they picked him up recently. And in 5 or 6 games, he's averaging like 28 a game.
Wow, jeez.
I mean, he came out of the hopper first 2 games. He scored like 65 points. Picking some spots with him. I had a play on him. I took 6 on a game with them on the road. Loved the side. The kid goes 7 for 25 from the free throw line.
What?
7 for 25. I ain't never seen that before. I sent the text right away to my guy, Nicky, up in the book. I said, you ever hear of this before? And he says, never. So I get all the firsts. So, but I've been riding them. Coppin State, Canisius is very down. New Hampshire, Green Bay, isn't that guy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't. He's a radio show guy.
Yeah, that's right.
See, you could coach.
Yeah,
I'm
no
going
doubt.
to let you go to community college. And
Play a
coach.
boxing one.
I love the boxing.
Love it. Majerus used to do it. I know. Boy, you look at this with the notes, though. This is how you do it? Alan Boston with the notebook and everything.
Boston's the best. He taught me well, but I've been doing this possibly before Boston.
Have you?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think since the late 80s. I know you like this stuff.
Can you show that to the camera,
I
by the way?
brought
This is
in.
absolutely bonkers.
I know you guys love it. So, I keep all the ratings by hand. And it looks like something out of one of the serial killer movies. The guy
It
writes
does.
really small.
My analogy is
And,
Kevin Spacey in 7.
This is, when you look at this is all the teams and the ratings, and I make the notes and start the season off.
God, you got 100 pages here probably filled with.
30 conferences, 30 pages, and I squeeze it all in.
You cut your fingertips off?
No, I bite them.
You bite 'em off instead?
I play guitar,
Got that.
like Hammett. Like
Yeah,
oh boy.
yeah, there you
good.
go.
There you go.
Do you like any
There you
trash
go.
tonight?
Well, there's no trash tonight.
There's no trash at all.
Tuesdays,
Okay.
Tuesdays, there's no none of the small conferences.
Let me ask you about St. John's.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good they are, but I just think they keep winning because Patino puts the fear in God of them. If they lose, they've won 3 times after trailing by 15 points. And they blew the Baylor game. They blew another game. They're laying 4 against Georgetown. After this, there's some tough games coming up. What do you think of St. John's? Some 5s now.
I jumped on the +5 last night. Probably a mistake, but I took it right out of the bat. I made the game 2.5. The first game was 11 down to 9.5. So the 2 and the 5 felt about right, but that first game I only had like 7, and then, the dog was up. That was one of the games they were up 15.
Up 10.5, yeah.
I think Sauber or Epps might have been either hurt or out that game. Well, look, this team is playing with those 2 guys. They're playing like a 6-man rotation. They play tremendous defense. They held St. John's, I think, to like second lowest point total. And I expect another kind of close kind of game tonight. And I took the 5. But meanwhile, it got bet back up. It was down as low as 3.5, and got bet back up.
All right. Is Gonzaga laying too many points tonight? They lost to Oregon State already.
They lost to them in overtime, but it's a game that was 9 on the road. So when you flip it around, now they're playing at home. The game figured to be 15. I don't lay too many any favorites. It's probably a mistake, but I did lay the 13 in the spot. They beat Portland by 100 after their 2 losses in a row. I think they're going to keep it up, and they're looking for some payback. But it ain't no bargain,
I think people are going to look at the Kentucky-Tennessee line tonight and say, wow, Kentucky's catching that many points. Keep in mind they're without, 2 guys tonight?
Well, I think
Butler and Carr.
Well, Carr, I haven't seen that he's officially out.
He's questionable, and he was leaning towards probably not going.
He didn't play Saturday, and it hurts. But once again, with the kids out, I only made it like 10.5. I almost laid 9.5, but I got plenty of bets, and I make a lot of bets. And
You're a volume better.
I'm a loser. The volume better is the definition of a loser. Well, I get the best of it, but getting the best of the price, that don't really mean much unless you're winning them.
Where's Marquette in your ratings? And they're laying 7 at Butler.
Well, they'd be getting about 6.5 neutral to Auburn. Six neutral.
All right.
I mean,
Quickly here, we have like 25 seconds left. Can you rattle off like 2 or 3 bets that you like tonight?
well, St. John's, as long as it's 5.5, 5, it's definitely a take. We were looking at the Oklahoma game. That's the reverse. A&M was laying. They were getting 2 at home, and now they're laying 8.5 on the road. So it's too much. The home courts ain't worth that much. If A&M would have lost to Texas, I mean, they were leading the whole game. I'm sorry, if they would have won, I think the spot would have been better for them.
Good to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Stevie the Pencil.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Busy hour coming up in 15 minutes. Former NFL GM Mark Dominic, now on VSiN by the Books mornings here on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Very strong on who is the better team in the Super Bowl. We have door 1 or door 2 at the bottom of the hour. And here we are going to get best bets at the AT&T Pro-Am, Pebble Beach, with our buddy Indy Jeff Seeley. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X. He is at Cupmaker Jeff. And the Cupmaker podcast is coming back in a couple of weeks for the Waste Management. Good afternoon, pal. How are you today?
Hey, fellas, doing great. Looking forward to a fun week. We've got some finally a signature event here, so we got a good field and should be a fun tournament this weekend.
Only an 80-man field, which is cool. So that means there's no cut. I'll begin with this, and we talk about like course form, recent form a lot when it comes to golf. Well, when you look at the course form here, nobody has been better than Jason Day. 7 top 10s since 2015, 8 top 10s since 2013. Also 5 top 5s in that time. Well, you can sprinkle in a 6th and a 7th as well. I notice here looking at your notes that he's not on your outright winner card anyway this weekend, but how do you want to make a bet with Jason Day this week?
Yeah, listen, Jason Day is a very reasonable play, and I actually bet him top 20. I'm not going to talk about him now, but I did bet him top 20. And you're right. I mean, he's rounding into some good form. He's got a 3rd and a 6th in his last 4 events to go with, 2 more inside the top 40. So Day certainly has good form. T6 here last year. With Day, it really comes down to, is the putting all the way back? But this is going to be, for all intents and purposes, as Jordan Spieth famously called it, a dart throwing contest added in with some putting mixed in. So it's really going to be, how is this putting? And frankly, Day's putting isn't there yet, or I'd be all over him. So at the Farmers, the American Express, and the Century, even though he finished T3 at the Amex, he lost strokes putting. He's lost strokes putting in 3 straight tournaments. And until I see him turn the corner on that, it's going to be hard for me to bet him to win. But based on course history, even where he's finished lately, I think he's a decent top 20 play. I just can't get him on the outright market yet.
Do you foresee any rust with Scheffler, or he just comes back in no problem on another top 10?
Guys, it's interesting. So I'm considering him. So like DraftKings, for example, has a 3-ball matchup, Scotty and Rory and Morikawa. Morikawa has obviously played more than the other two. And I'm looking at it, and I'm seriously thinking of playing Scotty in that matchup just at -115. I don't think Rory, frankly, has much of a chance here just because his biggest strength is his length, and playing at Pebble completely eliminates that. So I look at this as a Morikawa versus Scotty matchup, and if I can get that matchup at -115, I really like it. So I'm probably going to play Scotty. I'm going to play him in some matchups and situations like that. I doubt that I'm going to play it for much money, and I'm not going to play him outright or anything. So I'm going to take a little bit of a wait and see, but I am going to play that matchup just because I still think he's going to be in a better spot than Rory.
All right. Well, what do you make, by the way? You brought his name up, so I'll ask you, what do you make of the number this week for Hideki Matsuyama? I'm looking at the odds board right now. 23-1 here at Circa. DraftKings around 22-1. He's behind. He already won this year. Already, he won the opening event of the entire season. He's behind guys like Cantlay and Hebert, who fell apart this past weekend. He, just ahead of Sungjae Yim. What do you make his number this week?
I'm really surprised that his number is as high on the board or as it is, and 22, 23 to 1. I like him a lot. Look, you could argue he's in the best form of anybody coming into this event. And, look, you've always got the issue of him withdrawing with a back. That's a constant thing. You know that going in.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do know is he can also get streaky hot. He's gained an average. Guys, this is crazy for me to say. He has gained an average of 3 strokes putting over his last 3 events. Putting. And you add to that over 5.5 strokes on approach. We're talking about a tournament that is basically, like I said, you're throwing darts and you turn it into a putting contest. Hideki is putting very well. His irons and wedges are as good as anybody's right now. I think he's a tremendous bet at 22 to 1. And you can find him 2 to 1 in the top 10 market. Another one I'm very interested in this week. So I like Hideki a lot. I'm going to play him in matchups and certainly like top 10 and outright as well. I think Hideki is a strong play this week.
How about mid-tier? And you love this guy at his price, what he's at. Take it away.
Yeah, guys, my favorite play this week, I'm all in on Taylor Pendrith. I think he's 55 to 1. You can find him as high as there. I made a very solid bet on that. I sent you guys, and really he models out better than anybody. The best in this field model-wise. His current form is incredibly strong, having finished 14th or better in his last 5 events. Finished 7th here 2 years ago, and it feels like everything is really coming together for Pendrith. I'm locking him in all my DFS lineups this week. He's my one and done pick. He's my ride or die this week. I like, if you want to go a little safer, I can see playing him. He's plus 350, top 10. I think that's a great bet. Top 20, you can find him plus 150. I like that a lot. So I think Taylor Pendrith is easily my favorite play for the money this week. And it's funny, guys that I always play have been winning weeks when I don't bet them, so I'm not missing this week. We had Straka a few weeks ago win, Harris English last week. I'm not missing Hollywood Hoagie this week. I play Tom Hoagie all the time, and here we have him 80 to 1, finished 29th last week, was T8 at the Century a few weeks ago. Guys, Hoagie is a former winner here, and he has 2 more top 12s to go with that. So ton to like about Hoagie with current form. Mitch, you mentioned course history, 80 to 1, absolutely worth some piece of money on the outright. And guys, the fact that you can get Hoagie better than 2 to 1, top 20, I think is fantastic. So I like Tom Hoagie as well. I'm not missing out this week. I'm in on Hoagie.
You're going to ladder these guys as well. You're talking about 55 to 1 to win it outright, 80 to 1 to win it outright with Hoagie. You're going to just sprinkle, right? Like top 10, top 20. If you can find top 30, top 40, all of it on these guys that you just talked about.
Yeah, I am. And on guys like Hoagie, I'll go a little bit on the outright, and then but certainly as far as high as top 10. And I'd be really surprised. Yeah, in some books you can find top 40, and top 40 he's probably going to be around even money.
Mm-hmm.
I would be shocked if he didn't finish in the top half of the field this week. With all of these guys. I mean, the next one I'll talk about, Wyndham Clark's kind of the same thing as Pendrith. Close in price, you can find Wyndham around 50 to 1. This is last year's winner, guys. A guy who was just on the President's Cup team at 50 to 1. Very strong POA putter. Finished inside the top 10 in 4 of his last 9 events, so there's nothing wrong with his form. If the wind picks up, which it can here, we know here at Pebble, he's a great wind player. So if the wind picks up, I think that only helps him that much more. Another guy you can ladder. Find him top 20 at plus 150. You can play him top 10, sprinkle a little on the outright. I think Wyndham Clark's a really good bet. I honestly believe that he's got a 60% chance or better of finishing top 20. I made it 62%. So, I really think plus 150's got some good value. And the last guy is Denny McCarthy. This is a kind of a ladder play too. You can find him 2 to 1 top 20, plus 450 top 10. I really think he's interesting. Arguably the best putter in the field. We talked about the importance of putting. Finished 33rd or better in 5 of his last 6 events, so he's in some decent form. Course form here, he finished 26th, 4th, and 12th in his last 3 trips. So top 20 is very reasonable. Top 10 is very reasonable. I think actually more rounds at Pebble help him. In the past, we've played some 3-course rotation here. Only having 2 courses, I think, is going to help him. Just hitting the wedges and putter. So I think we'll see a really solid performance at Denny McCarthy this week.
You bring up a good point, because the one key word here that you have used over and over is putting, right? And how important that's going to be. You went back to Matsuyama and how well he's been putting so far. Well, the first guy that's going to come to mind, I think, is going to be Denny McCarthy, because, as you said, arguably the best putter on tour, if not the best, right? 75-1 is the common number that I'm finding on him. I don't think he can win with a field this strong. But you're right, Jeff. Like, if his putter gets hot, not only like top 10, top 20, he'd be a guy that I would maybe consider for like a first round leader bet.
Mitch, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned the betting the win component. I think that's interesting, because we watched him. If you'll remember last season, he was in the playoff with Badia and coming down the stretch and really just kind of chunked one in the creek that he could have had a big win. I worry about Denny's win factor a little bit. But, man, you're right. I mean, top 5, top 10, top 20 in a putting contest, I love Denny McCarthy. I mean, 6,800 yards is all Pebble is. It's a super, super short course. This is wedges and putting. So he's going to be very live, and I think he'll be very interesting play. One I expect to finish top 20.
Okay, very good. So to close up shop here then, Pendrith, though, overall, your favorite guy this entire week?
Yeah, for sure. I like Pendrith. I'm definitely going to ladder him, and I made a big bet on him to win. I think that's and I like that a lot, and I'm gonna have that in a bunch of different parlays, but for sure he's my favorite.
Very cool. You can follow Jeff on X. He is at Cupmaker Jeff, and the Cupmaker podcast coming back in a couple of weeks for the Waste Management. Thanks, pal. We appreciate the time. Good luck this week.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Yep. So here's another guy that I asked Jeff about before, during the break before he came on, because I threw that out there with Jason Day. Again, if you're just tuning in, Day, awesome course history here. 7 top 10 since 2015, 8 top 10 since 2013, a bunch of top 5s in that time, also a 6th and a 7th. So he said, yeah, top 20. And then I said during the break, I'm like, well, what about Jordan Spieth? I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. And Jeff goes, no bleeping chance. Spieth, 39th last year, 63rd the year before. But if you go back before that here at Pebble, 2nd, 3rd, 9th, he won in 2017. There was a 7th overall in 2015 and a 4th in 2014. So, like, the history here at Pebble was awesome, but the last 2 years, terrible, and recent form in general anyway, no good for Jordan Spieth. Up next, former NFL GM Mark Dominic, now VSiN host in the mornings here. Strong opinions on who is the better team in the Super Bowl.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Question for you, Paulie Howard. Remember when the ACC was incredible at college basketball?
Yeah. Well played, sir.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Right? Every year it was, okay, they're going to have a couple of 1 seeds, Duke and North Carolina, and then you can just pick. Wake Forest was going to be good. It was going to be Florida State was going to have a hell of a year. Syracuse was going to put a run together. NC State might be good. Virginia won a national title. They had a ton of teams.
Yeah.
It is completely flipped. And at the same time, the SEC was like Kentucky and then maybe like an afterthought. It wasn't like it was always the Big Ten was better, maybe the Pac-12 even, the ACC for sure. And the Big 12 was like clearly the number one conference. Again, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, we've been saying it back-to-back years. Is this the worst ACC we've ever had?
That's right.
2-3 years. And now
we say it every year. Is it the best SEC we've ever seen?
Well, the SEC, I would say it's a basketball and a baseball conference. Absolutely. But so you look at this now, and because George, as I see, is preseason 7th in some of the polls, according to some people.
How the mighty have fallen.
Kirby has some issues, no doubt. But that's why Joe Lunardi says Duke's going to be the number 1 overall seed, because they're just going to keep winning games, and the ACC is trash, and they're going to be double-digit favorites in so many more remaining games, and it's not going to be a problem for them. Although it's been a problem the last couple of games, right?
That's right.
Last night was a struggle, and they struggled in their last game. But
the combined, like after halftime against Wake, and then the first half last night, it was horrendous for Duke. Like a 40-minute stretch of basketball that they played, no good. And they had to come roaring back, and it was never easy. They were gigantic favorites in that game last night.
Yeah, 22, was it?
Yeah.
22? Did you say it? Sorry.
No, I did not. But
Huge
yeah,
fold.
you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And then you're up against it. So we're getting close. I can't imagine it's going to be so fun to be on the air during championship week and also the actual tournament. And
What is
it'll
that going to be like for us?
Bedlam here. I don't know, but I can't wait.
It's going to be live betting the entire show, I guess.
Yeah, and then while the games are going, right, you sure. So, well, we're on during the Super Bowl, too, so that'll be a good test. So Joe Lunardi has bracketology, and he updates it a couple times a week, and he just updated it this morning. He has 13 teams from the SEC. 13 bids.
Huh?
9 from the Big Ten, 8 from the Big 12, 5 from the ACC, 4 from the Big East, 3 from the Mountain West. His last 4 in: Ohio State, Texas, North Carolina, Central Florida. His first 4 out: Xavier, Indiana, Arizona State, and SMU. I mentioned earlier Houston, even though they're number 3 in the net, and they have been nasty since league play started, they are only a 3 seed. Your 1 seeds: Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, and Alabama. And the SEC is going to really wreak some havoc. Not only do they get 13 teams in, a lot of them have great seeds.
Alabama will not be a 1 seed this year. Based on what you're just talking about with Duke and having an easy schedule, so they'll get the number 1 overall seed. And we've talked about this briefly with Alabama. Their schedule to close out the season is an absolute monster. I don't consider Arkansas a tough game, but that's on the road at Texas, Auburn, at Missouri, Kentucky, Mississippi State, at Tennessee, Florida, at Auburn. That's how they close the year. If they somehow go like 7-1 in those games, forget about it. They'll probably be the number 1 overall seed. But that's I think 4-4, they'd take that right now. 5-3, they would probably say, yes, sign me up.
Yeah, right. Yep. The other thing is if you're going to be a 1 seed, Joe Lunardi has Gonzaga on the 8-9 line right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, remember how they started the season? They embarrassed Baylor?
I do.
And then it's like, what's happened here? But still, I certainly want to see. And UConn's got an 8 seed, too.
They are.
You want to see Hurley in the second round at Lunatic?
I got my notes right here on UConn. They are 9th overall on offense, 130th on defense.
Really?
So, every year when you get closer to March, you're like, okay, which teams qualify now? The Ken Pom number has been a thing for many, many years. Who's top 20 in both offense and defense? They have a lot of work to do on defense. 130 tells you that it's too far of an outlier. They can't win the national title this year again. I got some other ones too here for you.
Sure.
Because I was listening to Primetime last night with Matt Humans and Jonathan Von Tobel, and they had VSiN contributor Aaron Moore on, who is very good at isolating teams and finding like future numbers and attacking and monetizing tickets in March. He made the number 8.5 teams that can win the title. At the very top, he had Duke and Auburn. Okay, everybody will agree with that. After that, he had Iowa State. They're top 12 in both offense and defense. He had Houston. Again, 10th on offense now this year, 2nd overall on defense. He has Alabama. They're 43rd on defense. That's a concern. Florida on his list, 2nd overall on offense, 15th on defense. That's my biggest regret. I was watching that team kill opponents in November and early December. I'm like 40-1, huh? I think I missed like 60-1. So I'm not going to bet it at 40-1 now. Okay. See you later. They're like 12-1. He's got Tennessee, number 1 on defense, 34th on offense. He had Kentucky on his list. I got to fight back on that a little bit. 4th on offense. They are 81st on defense.
Lunardi has them a 3 seed. You think a lot of losses?
They have a lot of losses coming yet, including tonight. They're 11-point dogs now at Tennessee. They're missing Butler, and Carr is very questionable to go in the game. His half a team to win it, to make it 8.5, was Kansas. 4th on defense, 31st overall on offense. I'm a little concerned about how this team is operating under Bill Self.
Well, his history, though, too. He has some horrible losses in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely he does.
Really bad.
But when he was remember last year, like a month ago, he told the media, I'm already looking ahead to next season.
Yeah.
Because last year was no good. And then he was assembling like this all-star, roster in the offseason with the NIL. And it's like, okay, they were number 1 in the preseason. Made a lot of sense. I can't get that loss against Houston out of my head over the weekend. How dumb they played down the stretch in the final moments of the game.
Okay.
It really bothers me. But I'll throw out a couple of other teams to consider based on Ken Pom numbers. Believe it or not, Purdue is on the list. 6th on offense, 22nd on defense, playing great basketball. They just absolutely murdered Michigan. I can't get there with Illinois, but they're 24th on offense, 12th on defense. Texas Tech has really good numbers. And Marquette, that's a team that Aaron Moore threw out there last night to make the Final Four. He was seeing 8-1. I think if you can find 8-1 in Marquette to make the Final Four, that's a really good number. Because they can make a run. They have enough talent, and Shaka's the coach, obviously. Arizona's 23rd on defense, 15th on offense. I don't trust the coach, though, in March. And then Michigan State's the other one. They are 20th overall on offense, 17th on defense. They qualify. They're also undefeated in the Big Ten as of right now.
You know why I like that? 2 reasons. Number 1, Izzo. Number 2, look what we've seen in the last week in college basketball. Last night, Saturday, make your free throws. Sparty's number 3 in the nation.
Very good.
It's going to come. Someone's going to lose games because they brick free throws, and it's going to come back to bite you. And I know that's something we always get into when the tournament starts. Wisconsin's number 1, Sparty's number 3, Oklahoma's 4, Gonzaga's 5. And a team I think that will win a game in the tournament, Cal Irvine is 6.
6th overall.
Yep.
File that away.
Cal Irvine get a 10-11 seed. I think they're going to take somebody out.
I will say this about Sparty tonight playing Minnesota. That is in East Lansing, so the Spartans are at home. They're laying like 13 in this game. Totals around 140 or so. They are 8-0 in the Big Ten. The Gophers are 3-6, but all 3 wins have come in their last 3 games, with wins over ranked Michigan, ranked Oregon at home. They also won at Iowa. The best Big Ten team Michigan State has played was Illinois at home. They won 80-78. They did win at Minnesota by 18 back on December 4th. But now this number's up to 14.5. I will just point out, as good as Michigan State has been, the Gophers are suddenly playing like the best basketball of the entire year.
All right, you heard Bachelari earlier. He likes Oklahoma. He likes
Oklahoma
plus the points. He likes Georgetown if he can get 5.5 against St. John's at 3:30. The G-Bank best bet. I've changed my mind on this during the show. This is available at DraftKings. This is Chiefs players with receptions, 8.5. I like the under. And it's a big deal because if you can find a 7.5, I'd actually lean over. But 8.5 under.
Go for the middle.
Yeah, but here's why. Because Noah Gray didn't have a catch Sunday. So It was Hopkins 1, P. Ryan 1, which was, you got lucky and fortunate, right? And also Kelsey did nothing. But remember what Zach Ertz did to Philadelphia. Is this more of a Kelsey game? And does Kelsey go off? So maybe some of these where you look, he had 1 catch, he had 1 catch, he had 1 catch. Is it going to work out that way? The more I think about it, and what Ertz did to Philadelphia, I think under 8.5 Chiefs to have a reception is the way to go. Best Bets brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. If you're serious about sports betting, need the G-Bank Visa signature card. Most credit card street sports books and gaming transactions and cash advances. Even when you put your own money on the card, G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. You'll get a $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. VSiN.com/GBank.
Up next, where does Saquon Barkley's season rank all-time amongst running backs? He could become the first back in the history of the league to accomplish this in the Super Bowl. Details coming up next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
All right, going to add it. Talked more about it during the break. This is available at DraftKings. The number's key. Number of Chief players to have a reception in the Super Bowl under 8.5. In the AFC title game, it was 8. No Noah Gray. I guess you could say Watson. He was out there.
Did he not catch one?
No, but he was on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there was I remember him saying his name, and it was a penalty or something.
Yep.
P. Ryan had a catch. Big one, but remember it was late. Pacheco had 2 catches. Hunt had a catch. Smith-Schuster off the milk carton had a catch. Hopkins had a catch. I mean, you're really slicing it thin here. I mean, that to me, that's a big ask to get to 9. Worthy, Smith-Schuster, Brown, Kelsey, Pirine, Pacheco, Hopkins, Hunt. No Gray, no Watson. Would they throw the ball to Mahomes? I don't. The more I think about it, I think you have something there with the middle. Go under 8.5, go over 7.5.
Yeah, good.
I think you're right with the 7.5. All right, that's the new one. Can't wait for this Super Bowl. Gonna be good. Then I'll go cry in the corner when the season's over. Under 2.5 turnovers in the game. Under minus 150. Kansas City, 8 straight games without a turnover. You had the Mahomes fumble. And then the the Eagles have played clean football in the playoffs. And I trust Hurts to take care of the ball as well. 3 turnovers? Can't see it. Chiefs' longest made field goal, even money. Both teams to make a 33-yard field goal. Even money, $1.10. Shop it. I can do better than this. Octopus, 16-1 at the Westgate.
Yeah.
It happened 2 years ago between these teams. Hurts did it. A lot of candidates here. Could be a high-scoring game. And plus, you have to like the Barkley-Hurts angle, too, with the Octopus. And probably Elliott misses an extra point. Successful 2-point conversion, plus 255. And, of course, have to do it. Mahomes over rushing yards, 28.5. I want him to be the leading rusher for the Chiefs. I think that has a good chance to cash.
All right.
I don't think they can get anything going on the ground against Philly.
Very good. Easy winner last night. Iowa State, Arizona over 151.5. Well, again, no complaining from me, at least for this week. With that, coupled with Pirine going over 8.5 yards on Sunday, going to enjoy excellence. Not going to whine and complain. Here's what I've added for tonight. Xavier Worthy, over 4.5 rushing yards, bet that at minus 110. Mike Somich, really onto something with that. And it was awesome with the breakdown on Friday.
Get that number, though. That could fall 5. There's 5.5, 6. Got to get that number.
Yep. Bet this last night. Knicks to win the Atlantic Division 6-1. They're a game back. They scored 140 points last night against a very good Memphis team. Boston lost yet again. Again, are they going through the motions? Are they maybe not as good as we think?
Stop with the excuses. They're bored.
Yeah, they take too many threes. I don't know. But they're a game back. 6-1's out there. Got to add more. I already had it plus 350.
Sorry. Number 1, are you hanging out with the guys? Huh? Do you know that? Number 2, it's lazy analysis. Oh, they're bored. Oh, they lost. They're bored.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
This is, it's the Blackhawks first period over.
Hello. Again,
we're going to go to war with this one. Minus 136 is what I played as they take on the Lightning. And I added an NBA prop as well. So the Bucks are playing on a back-to-back, and they were in Utah last night. They go to Portland in this game tonight. I'll go Anthony Simons over. This is moved. It was 19.5. Should have bet it earlier. Damn it. 20.5, but it's plus 104. A couple of reasons here. He's playing heavy minutes, mid-30s every game. He only had 14 against OKC, but OKC is one of the best. They are the best defensive team in basketball. He had 27 against Charlotte, 21 against Orlando, 24 against Miami. He also has done exceedingly well against Milwaukee since they traded Damian Lillard, the Blazers did, to the Bucks. And he had 28 against them on January 4th. And he had another game where I think it was 24-25 against the Bucks, playing a lot of minutes, taking a lot of shots here in recent form. I'll take the plus money at over 20.5 points tonight for the Blazers and Anthony Simons.
The Jonathan Davis play and his angle, and he's been on this. You can read him every day, vsin.com. Is if a team gets shut out and then the next game, bet the goal in the first 10 in the first period over, and it got there last night in Vancouver. So this qualifies with the Blackhawks as well. Tampa Bay got shut out in their last game. I bet that, and I like goal in the first 10 as well. It's a good angle, and it's I think it's hit 70%. Something like that, what he said. If you're the kind of player who wants to drop $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price in the market, and you're looking for instant acceptance on your in-game bets, you need Sport Trade, the app that's revolutionizing sports betting. $4 lines instead of the standard $10. Instant in-game betting, concierge player service. Sport Trade delivers a premium betting experience like no other. Sport Trade live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and Virginia. Download Sport Trade today, code VSiN. Get a 10% cash back on every wager during your first week. Got to be 21. Go get Sport Trade. So I'm looking at Worthy's game log here. 2 for 16 last week. 1 for -8 against Houston. 2 for 10, 3 for 10, 3 for 30, 1 for 5, 1 for 5, 1 for 7, 2 for -10, 1 for 5, 1 for 3, 3 for 13, 1 for 5, 1 for 21. Come on. Love over 4.5.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm
and
on board.
I'm with Samich. I think he can get two carries.
All right, so we're getting plenty of feedback. You asked the question, if you've ever been given like 5 minutes with somebody very important.
I love this stuff.
Right? Because, again, President Trump came to Las Vegas on Saturday, and they had a rally here at Circa. So Derek Stevens was going to have a couple of minutes with him, and then what do? And you told the story, like people come up and they try to pitch Derek all the time, and Derek's a total man of the people. He sits out here, watches games. You can go up and have a drink with him. He's awesome. And he'll sometimes say, I'm busy. You got 5 minutes. Go ahead, pitch me, right? So email is ftm@vsin.com. This is from Robert. He said, not a personal one, but a movie, a best 5-minute reference ever. Bud Fox, quote, life all comes down to a few moments. This is one of them.
Yes.
End of quote. Gordon Gekko gives him 5 minutes.
Yes.
Blue Star Airlines.
Yes.
Douglas was amazing as Gekko.
Yes, he was.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, I got to go back and watch it.
He won the Oscar.
I think you're right.
Yep. And then what was the other line? Your dad doesn't work for that company or whatever? Because the other one he gave out sucked? The stock? Damn, that's a good movie.
How about this?
Good callback.
This is from Greg, ftm@vsin.com. He was able to get a couple of minutes with the front man from Five Finger Death Punch before a show. The last time they played in town. His wife and they were both there. They were told he has 10 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes later, he said, I have to get warmed up. We're on in 20. Then we stood on the side of the stage for the entire show. That's insane.
What?
Wow.
He got an hour and 20 minutes of his time?
You got 10 minutes. The guy gave him an hour and 20 and said, hold on, I got to go. I got to warm up for the show. And then watch it. That's, wow, what a story that is. They're coming in fast and furious here. This is from Jordan. I'm reading this live, so bear with me here. I hope there are no, he's at the inauguration for George H. Bush Sr. He's walking in a tux. He's 13 years old. George W. walks by. I yelled, "Go Rangers." He was part owner, and I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth. He turns around and says, "You like the Rangers?" I said, "Heck yes." He asked me where I was from, and I told him. Then I said to him, "Can I tell you something?" He says, "Sure." I said, "You're going to be president one day." He says, "Of the United States?" And I said, "Yes." I asked if I could get a job if he becomes president. He says, "Yes." Here's the pick from when this happened. I didn't want a job in politics at that point because I was going to inherit a pizza company, and I had already turned into being a spokesperson for Dick's Army's office in Texas. And there's a picture of, wow. That's a long time ago.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Bush said of the United States?
Yes. Question mark.
Watch this drive.
Yeah.
God. That's so good. Fool can't get fooled again.
Yeah, don't get fooled again.
Oh, man. Oh, that's good. That is so good.
Bert is asking the question, I'm curious to know how Derek got Trump to hold his rally at Circa and then walk the casino floor. It's a great question. I mean, here's the thing. Trump has a casino in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he stayed there Friday.
But there's no gambling there.
Yes, you can be president of the United States, but also not... You can't also get a gaming license.
Might not have a gaming license.
Yes, right.
So he did not have his rally at the Trump Casino. He had it here, downtown instead. I'm still fascinated at how the Secret Service is able, and I'll throw this at Derek too. I studied broadcasting 30 years ago, but I could swear to God, I remember my teachers telling me that a broadcasting company has to stay on the air, specifically if something happens to the president of the United States. That's what I was told. I put money on it 30 years ago, so I might be a little off, but so they come in and they say, "Get out." Tim Murray's on the air. Others working behind the scenes. "Get out of here. You can't be here right now." Like, what?
And it's over the top.
It's crazy.
I don't care for it. Would he been arrested? Would they would have...
Probably.
What if that's
who knows?
us? Would you have gone up? Would you?
I would have. I don't know. Who knows? It wasn't their shoes. But Derek Stevens and all this coming up next.